Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Baltany S184037. This watch is available from Baltany Watches official store on AliExpress for €137. It's also available from baltany.com for $112 respectively. So firstly, let's look at the travel case that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with the piece. So the watch comes in this hard shell travel case. I'll show you the interior. As you can see, both halves of the travel case are lined with two foam panels, which does a good job of protecting the watch in shipping from any damage. I like these travel cases. They make a refreshing alternative to the default option of using a plastic or cardboard watch box, and this one is very well made. With regards to the items, this is the owner's instruction manual, clear concise diagrams. The instructions are in English, and it details the operation of the movement use, which is the Seiko VD78 quartz. This is the plastic guarantee card, and one thing I like about Baltany watches is they fill in the date of purchase and they stamp it, often with low-tier Chinese brands. They don't fill in the warranty cards and therefore they're invalid, and I'm pleased to report that this S184037 is covered by a 2-year international warranty, which is very good because often low-tier pieces are only covered by a 1-year guarantee. This has a 2-year guarantee. One also gets this spring bar tool, nice attention to detail because it's branded with Baltany, 2 rubber caps. One removes the rubber cap, and at one end it has a 2-prong fork, which is very fine. And often spring bar tools have 2-prong forks which are too thick, and this one has nice fine forks, and as you can see at the other ends we have a push pin for removing straps and resizing push pin bracelets. So nice to get this included. And lastly, one also gets this Baltany branded microfiber polishing cloth. I always think it's a nice touch to get a branded microfiber polishing cloth, irrespective of the price point of a piece. So, with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the Baltany S184037. The watch is clearly an homage to the 1926 Rolex Oyster. We have a 36mm case diameter. We have a 43.3mm lug-to-lug measurement, a thickness of 11mm, and a lug width of 18mm. The genuine leather strap, which is tan coloured, tapers from 18mm at the lugs down to the buckle and tang. Now, the buckle and tang is sterile, it's unsigned, and I would like to see Baltany engrave it with either the Baltany brand emblem or the text logo, because I think that would further enhance the piece. Having a sterile buckle is a clear cost-cutting measure. But having said that, it's a nice heavy gauge of 316L grade stainless steel, flawless mirror polishing to the flanks, the top side and the underside, and no sharp edges, so it is a very well finished mirror polished buckle. With regards to the keepers, we've got 2 keepers on the genuine leather strap. One floats up and down, and the first keeper is fixed into position. It's stitched, as you can see. Now, with regards to the leather strap, it is a good quality genuine leather strap. We've got genuine leather embossed on one side, and on the other side we have Baltany embossed. But the problem is it's too thick. This is a very stiff strap, and I think Baltany have made an error by using this kind of strap, which would better suit a field watch. This is meant to be an homage to the 1926 Oyster, and therefore a padded leather dress-style strap would suit this better. They should have used a thinner strap which is more soft and supple, because even with daily wear, this is going to be difficult to break in. Now, it would look very nice on a field watch, but really on a piece like this, which is a 1926 homage, a dress strap would suit the aesthetic better, but the quality is good. Now, the other criticism I have of it is they haven't used quick release spring bars. Now, this case doesn't have holes in the lugs, so it's going to be difficult to fit a spring bar tool inside the lugs in between the edge of the strap without damaging the lugs, because this thick strap is going to be very stiff. The leather isn't going to compress easily. And with this style of thick leather strap, they really do need quick release spring bars, because that makes it a lot easier to remove it without using a spring bar tool. So I think they need to update this strap with a quick release spring bar, because it's going to be very difficult to remove it without damaging the lugs, which are quite fine. Quality is good, the underside is perfectly smooth, and again I think it could do with more holes in the strap. This is clearly meant to fit a 6 to 7 inch wrist because it's a 36mm head of the piece, but it really doesn't have enough adjustment holes even for a 6 to 7 inch wrist. I think they need to add 1 or 2 extra holes in it. Contrasting white stitching to it does look very good, but the tan finish to it, which is matte, really doesn't suit the mirror polished case. Generally speaking, with mirror polished cases like this, they should have glossy straps. With matte brushed satin finish cases, they should have matte straps to match. But it really doesn't match when one has a matte strap on a mirror polished case. This looks more like a dress piece rather than a field watch. So, with regards to the rest of the specification, we have a double dome sapphire crystal which has a top hat style profile to it. Clear AR coating on the underside, and the clear anti-reflective coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the metallic blued hands and also the vertical satin finished metallic dial. The subdial is very well executed, it's guilloche finished, and we also have a contrasting blued metallic subdial second hand. The proportions of the hands are very good. The minute hand extends all the way to the rail track chapter ring, and also the hour hand is correctly proportioned. It extends to the Roman numerals, which are printed to a high standard on the dial. The subdial proportion is also very good, and if you look at the subdial second hand, you can see it is also long enough to extend to the minute ticks. So, very well printed dial. The quality of the printing to the Baltany logo, the Roman numerals, and the rail track chaptering are all done very well. Nice crisp printing, and the black paint is very well applied. One thing I like about it is the metallic finish to it. There's vertical brushed satin finishing to the main dial, and that contrasts very well with the guilloche finishing to the subdial, which has concentric circles which decrease. And it's a very well executed dial. This is the kind of dial finishing one would expect to see on a mid-tier piece, costing in excess of €3,000. Very unusual to get this high quality printing and high quality finishing to the dial surfaces in a low-tier piece, costing only €137. The blued hands are very well executed, they're nicely finished, and also the quality of the bluing is very good. And I like the contrast of the metallic blue contrasting with the vertical brushed satin finished dial. Absolutely gorgeous to look at, and I like the way it catches the light. The AR coating really does work very well too. With regards to the bezel, it's got a curved profile to the fluted bezel, solid 316L grade stainless steel. The quality to the fluting on the bezel is outstanding. Nice crisp fluting, no burrs, no sharp edges, and I love the way the radial finish to the fluting catches the light. The case is fully mirror polished, even between the lugs, which is an area that often low-tier brands neglect. They leave it brushed satin finish or just machined. This is mirror polished on every facet of the case. Absolutely flawless. There are no imperfections to the polishing to the flanks, the top side, the underside to the case, and in between the lugs. The screw down stainless steel case back is perfectly flat, and that's the benefit of using a Seiko VD78 quartz. If this were automatic with a rotor or even a manual wind mechanical movement, this would have to have a bubble case back, and that would increase the thickness of the piece more than 11mm. But by using the VD78 quartz, it means it has a perfectly flat underside, and this is only 11mm thick. The fluted edge to it also complements the onion crown and also the fluted bezel. It's got the same curved radial profile to the fluted edge to the circumference of the case back. Flawless mirror polishing to the case back, perfectly flat and smooth, no imperfections to it whatsoever. This is some of the best mirror polishing I have ever seen on a watch, and Baltany deserve full credit for outstanding case finishing, bezel finishing and case back finishing. With regards to the crown, it's onion finished. Nice curved profile to the fluting on the onion crown, and the curved fluting also complements the curved fluting on the bezel and also the case back. Now, it's a sterile crown, but in this case I'm not going to be critical of it being unsigned, because this is a 1926 Oyster Homage, and watches of this period did have sterile onion crowns, so it does fit the aesthetic of a vintage 1926 piece. So let's test the action. The screw down crown provides an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters, which is very good specification. On this piece, one would expect it to have a push-pull crown with 50 meters, so to get a screw down crown with 100 meters is strong specification. Now, pulling it out to the first click position is the time setting position. Absolutely silky smooth on the VD78 quartz. Immediate response, no backplay clockwise and anti-clockwise. When one rotates the onion crown, the minute hand responds immediately, moving clockwise and anti-clockwise. So I really like that there's no backplay in it. It feels absolutely smooth, clockwise and anti-clockwise. And as you can see, looking at the subdial, it hacks. One can hack the time to set the time precisely to the second. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the ticking sub-dial second hand. Now, it does feel smooth. It's not silky smooth, but one can feel the resistance of the rubber O-rings. This has two rubber O-rings, one inside the onion crown and a second rubber O-ring inside the stainless steel crown tube, and those two rubber O-rings provide 100 meters. However, there's an immediate thread pickup when screwing it back down, so the interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube are excellent. So it's not silky smooth, but it is smooth enough, and it is a pleasure to operate. The proportion of the crown is good. I'm glad that they haven't undersized it, because this is a 36mm head of the piece. And often it's a mistake that low-tier Chinese brands make. They make 36mm crowns too small. On this one, it has a nice large onion crown, so although it's a small head of the piece, it's easy to grip with one's index finger and thumb. One can get a good grip of the fluted finishing to the onion crown, so it's easy to grip and unscrew and screw back down, and I think that it's very well executed. It's not sharp, and it feels very nicely finished. Now, I can't give you a wrist shot because the strap is a fraction too short, as I'll show you, but bear in mind, as you can see, it's just 1 inch too short. But however, I'm not going to be overly critical of this because it's 36mm. So this is clearly meant to suit collectors with a 6 to 7 inch wrist, so I'll hold it on wrist and you can see a wrist shot. Now, very nicely proportioned. It's got a relatively short lug-to-lug measurement of 43.3, so again, this is clearly best suited to collectors with a 6 to 7 inch wrist. If you have a 7 to 8 inch wrist, you may find it to be too small. But however, bearing in mind it's a 1926 Oyster Homage, they've made the correct decision by using 36. It does give it that vintage aesthetic of a 1920s piece. I really like the double dome sapphire crystal with a clear AR coating, nice boxed top hat profile to it. The mirror polishing to the top of the case catches the light beautifully, as does the fluted bezel. So the finishing is beautiful. I love the vertical brush satin finishing to the dial and the contrasting guilloche finishing to the sub dial. So the quality of the dial finishing and the hands, which are blued, is very good. So, too small for my 8 inch wrist, but if you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist, you will enjoy the vintage aesthetic. It's got an Art Deco styling to the case shape, and I think they've done an excellent job of making this an homage to the 1926 Oyster. The only negative really is the strap. The strap really doesn't suit this watch. If this had a padded leather dress strap, this would look far more aesthetically pleasing. If it had a padded glossy strap rather than this matte strap which looks like a field watch strap, that would further enhance the piece. But on a positive note, 18mm is the correct lug width, and the taper on the strap is okay, although I think a greater taper from 18 down to 16 would look better. So really, if one changes the strap, I think it would enhance the piece. This one does feel very stiff, the strap doesn't feel flexible, and I think it needs a thinner strap in order to enhance the comfort. Good looking piece. Clear AR coating works good, and the blued hands contrast very well with the silver dial. So gorgeous piece to look at. Right, so there's no loom, so we don't need to do a loom test. So I'll move on to discussing the movements. This uses the Seiko VD78 quartz, which is made in Japan. The VD78 is a reliable, well-proven workhorse quartz movement. It has a 3-year battery life. It has hacking, as I've demonstrated, and the stated accuracy of the VD78 is plus or minus 20 seconds per month. I want you to consider that for a second. That isn't plus or minus 20 seconds per day or per week, that is per month. Better than plus or minus 1 second per day, so incredibly accurate. It's reliable, the build's quality control and materials are all outstanding. The VD78 is the correct choice for this piece because it has a sub-dial at 6 o'clock. Now, I like the fact there's no phantom date setting position. We don't have a date wheel present beneath the dial. So unlike other quartz pieces, one doesn't have a second click position on the crown. There's no phantom position. When unscrewing the crown, pulling it out to the first click is the final click. So Baltany deserve credit for selecting the correct Seiko quartz movement in the VD78. I like the fact there's just one click rather than 2 clicks on the crown. No negatives to it whatsoever. Plus or minus 20 seconds per month is excellent accuracy, and 3-year battery life is also excellent. So I really like it. I think it's a very good choice, and there's no negatives to it whatsoever. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So this is $112 from Baltany.com, and I'm going to base my evaluation on that price rather than the current Baltany watches official store price, which is €137. Yes, it is unquestionably excellent quality and excellent value at $112. This is an outstanding piece. The quality control, build quality and the finishing are incredible for $112. The Seiko VD78 quartz is an outstanding quartz movement, and I really like everything about this piece. The double dome sapphire crystal with clear AR coating is good, 100 meters is strong specification, screw down crown, and we've also got a screw down case back with 100 meters of hermetic seal. So there are no cost cutting measures with this piece whatsoever. Being critical, one could say the strap is a cost-cutting measure because it does have a sterile buckle. They haven't signed it with Baltany, and they could have used a more expensive strap, a padded leather strap with a glossy finish or alligator finish as per a dress piece. So the one cost-cutting measure is the strap. This thick leather strap really doesn't suit. But even so, I think it's $112. This is a champagne watch for lemonade money, and I'm going to highly recommend it to you for consideration. So I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Baltany S184037. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.